Terrell Owens a jump ball.
5 Dallas touchdowns tonight have been scored by 5 different players. 3rd and goal. Barber, not this time. Started through the middle, cuts to the outside. Mike Patterson makes the tackle. Nick Folk will come in to attempt a field goal.
You know, that whole deal they, talk about, running up to score and doing all that stuff. When I was a coach, I never thought about making substitutions or taking my quarterback out until the midway point of the 4th quarter. And I think, that's it. I mean, you can look at the end and say, geez, they ran it up or they kept it. You don't know. Maybe the last 7 or 8 minutes is when you start thinking that way, but you don't start thinking that way before.
Ball kicks a 22-yard field goal to put Dallas up by 28.
Your highlights.
Now, espnsoccernet.com is available in French and German. Follow the great clubs of Ligue 1 from France and Bundesliga clubs from Germany's top league. On the French site, find a special section devoted to Les Bleus, where you can get the latest info on L'Équipe de France in addition to statistics and results. And on the German site, National Elf is featured with news and results about the national club. espnsoccernet.com has all of Europe covered now in English, French, German, and Spanish. espnsoccernet.com. Log on today.
Hey there, Horners. Tony Reale here, floating an invitation your way to go around the horn weekdays right here on NASN, Europe's leading channel for North American sports. Feast your eyes on my band, the Merry Journalists, who contemplate, manipulate, debate the latest sports news from around the world. So, if you're a sports nutter, a novice, or just sleepless in Slough, you're sure to enjoy the banter. Don't miss Around the Horn right here on NASN. Horn! Cheerio!
Sunday Night Football on ESPN. If you're just joining us, you're looking at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, where the Eagles are playing host to the Dallas Cowboys. Mark Brown with you throughout tonight's game. Al Michaels and John Madden have the call from Philadelphia. We'll send it back out there with the Cowboys in command over the Eagles.
Folk to kick off. Terrell Buckhalter from the 4. Up to the 30-yard line. $9.50 remaining. Speaking of Rocky, that's perfect.
Tradition, pride, teamwork, spirit.
He's something. 25-20, and he scores! Tigers win! Holy cow!
Heartbreak, glory. NCAA college football on NASN.
And Yankee fans are like oil and water. Cubs and White Sox fans at the same dinner table? Bad idea. Despite their differences, fans do have one thing in common. Their heroes all wear Majestic Athletic, the official uniform supplier for all 30 Major League Baseball teams. Available now all over Europe at NASN.com.
Donnie Allison in car number 88 had the fastest qualifying speed of 150.689 miles per hour and starts his die-guard Chevy on the pole. 21, David Pearson is alongside. In the second row, it's car 12, Bobby Allison, and 71, Buddy Baker.
Next week's matchup, Peyton Manning coming to San Diego. Indianapolis losing to New England at the end today on a rally by the Patriots. San Diego getting shot by Minnesota. Chargers and the Colts next Sunday night as that catch is made here by Kevin Curtis. He takes it out to the 47 for a Philadelphia first down, and they'll go without a huddle.
How about that Adrian Peterson today for the Minnesota Vikings? He set an all-time NFL record. I was going to say, I don't know that I've seen a runner that dominant in a game.
Fabulous performance, and did it on the same field in which Tomlinson was playing. And that pass for Curtis is incomplete. Covered on the play by Anthony Henry. 296 rushing yards today, a record for Peterson.
Yeah, but I mean, he would just hit in those holes and then burst through them and get into the secondary and make a move on someone and then just out sprint the whole defense.
You know, it's funny, I was watching that game and I was thinking what Wade Phillips must be thinking. I mean, Wade is the defensive coordinator of the Chargers, so he knows that defense, which is now run by Ted Cottrell, and what he must have been thinking is Peterson is just shredding Westbrook. Takes it to the 49-yard line.
Right, and that's one thing. You go into a game if you're the San Diego Chargers and, well, we can run the ball and we can stop the run, and then you go from there, and they did neither today.
Wow. And that came in a game in which the Chargers got a tremendous break at the end of the first half when General Cromartie ran a missed field goal back 109 yards. And he's the first guy in history to run one back for 109, and that's a record that will never be broken. It can only be tied. It can't be broken. Hank Baskett to the 40-yard line.
Right, and you see where he ran it back. The secret to running back a field goal is always run it to the side of your bench, because the field goal team is usually big old offensive linemen, and after the ball's kicked, they will go towards their bench. So you always run away from their bench, and you'll find a big opening. And that, every time you look, a big return like that will be to the side of their bench.
You would think the element of surprise wouldn't exist anymore, as that's a shovel pass to Westbrook, because Chris McAllister ran one back in a Monday night game with 107 yards. We saw Devin Hester run it back 108 yards in a Sunday night game last year. So you would think on those long field goals at the end of the half that special teams unit would be thinking about that.
Yeah, but you can't tell a big old tackle, hey, you know, after we kick the ball, you run over to their sideline. You're coming over to your sideline to get some Gatorade.
Yep. Here's Westbrook. And that was an amazing play by Cromartie, because had that been a catch, as you look at Kevin Cobb, the #1 draft choice and backup quarterback, had Cromartie made that as a catch, it was great just to stay in bounds.
Yeah. Kevin Cobb, I think, is going to be a good one. You know, we saw him in the preseason and was impressed with him, and then just watching him in practice the other day. You know, sometimes you can tell, you know, is this guy
number
really
72,
something?
False start, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Or maybe a work in progress. I mean, this Kevin Cobb is very, very, very impressive.
He was actually picked in the second round, though he was their top choice and the guy that they felt.
He's too young to be on in this early.
Yes, he is.
I mean, it can't be boring to you.
Nope, 2nd and 15. And that's dropped. Tell you what, a few more games like this one, they'll be calling for Kevin Cobb.
Well, you know, there is talk about that. I mean, not necessarily this year, but, you know, next year, what happens next year and the year after.
Well, a lot of things to think about in Philadelphia, because this was a pivotal game tonight, and they fell off the fulcrum. Going to 3-5, 4 games back, and a lot of problems. 3rd and 15. Westbrook. Back to the middle of the field. It comes up well short of the first down as the clock ticks down under 7 minutes.
Since 1989, Coca-Cola has provided more than $35 million in college scholarships. And as the NCAA's first corporate champion, Coca-Cola proudly supports 88 NCAA championships in 23 sports for 360,000 student athletes every year. Satisfying a thirst for learning, both in the classroom and on the field. The Coca-Cola Company and the NCAA.
The hard-hitting action of American football continues with the NFL on NASN. And this week, it's an AFC North showdown. The ferocious defense of the Baltimore Ravens take on the heart-pounding offense of the Pittsburgh Steelers. You've got to believe it's smash-mouth football, NFL style. Ravens Steelers, live tonight. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown. The NFL on NASN.
Big Bucks haven't spoiled Tony Romo. Look at those numbers tonight. That rating of 141.7. Perfection is 158.3, at least statistically. McNabb's completed 20 out of 33, but this is pretty typical of Philadelphia tonight. They've been gaining a lot of yards this season, but not turning those yards into points. A lot of them stalling in the red zone. And right now, after taking the timeout on a 4th and 5, they were able to move the chains on a pass over the middle of Brian Westbrook for a 6-yard gain to the 17-yard line.
You know, knowing Tony Romo like we know him, did you think that he would be spoiled by a big contract?
No, not this guy.
It was, remember last year when he fumbled that snap against Seattle, people said, oh, geez, he won't be the same guy. I think, if you know Tony Romo, he's going to be the same guy.
Here's Westbrook to the 10. Thing about Romo, and we've gotten to know him pretty well, because we've done a lot of his games over the past couple of years. I just love his sense of humor. I mean, he's always, he's kind of putting you on a little bit and playing with you, and he's very sharp, very sharp.
We did the first game that he played, and the week that he became a starter at the Dallas Cowboys, his girlfriend broke up with him.
Right. She may be back in the picture. I don't want to. I'm not going to start this again.
No, I know we always do, but that was the thing. The week before he became a starter, his girlfriend broke up, and now that's been a long time story.
Right. We don't want to give anything away. But we'll let Access Hollywood or whatever. ET.
We always start that way. I mean, that's always when we talk to him the first 10 minutes about his girlfriend situation.
I'm trying to unring the bell, but it's tough right now.
I'm sorry.
3rd from the 11. And that pass is picked off almost by Terrence Newman. Terrence Newman was looking down to see if he could stay in bounds and has to settle for a pass breakup. Speaking of breakups.
He's doing push-ups now. He's covering the slot. He's right here. And you see what he's doing. It's not a man-to-man. It's a zone. It's a cover 3. So he looks like he's man-to-man on the slot. Then he's working outside to the outside receiver. He dropped that, and then he got down and started doing push-ups.
Another timeout taken by Philadelphia.
The hard-hitting action of American football continues on NASN, home of the NFL. We head deeper into the second half of the season. The action has been ferocious, and NASN has another slate of top games. This Sunday, it's a live doubleheader when the Minnesota Vikings invade Green Bay to battle the Packers. And then the Dallas Cowboys face the New York Giants. Coverage begins with Sunday NFL Countdown, live this Sunday on NASN.
You must take the A train over to be NHL continues on NASN with a live Hockey Night in Canada doubleheader. First up, it's an original 6 matchup as Jagger brings his Rangers to Toronto. Then we head straight to the Saddle Dome for some heated action between the Flames and the Oilers. A live Hockey Night in Canada doubleheader Saturday night only on NASN.
Kidding around on the sidelines, took that shot before after he lost his helmet. Had to stop a bloody nose, but they've been having a lot of fun on the Dallas sideline. Dallas having a lot of fun, period. 4th down and 3 for Philadelphia. McNabb throws, and it is caught for the touchdown by Hank Baskett. On a 4th and 3, Hank Baskett goes down a yard into the end zone and makes the catch for the score.
And Hank Baskett is the inside receiver right here. He's going to go down and inside, and then Donovan McNabb, you know, sometimes you lead a guy up and sometimes you lead him in and sometimes you lead him right down into the ground. And that's what Donovan McNabb did with Baskett there.
Akers the extra point. That makes it a 3-touchdown game at 38-17. Sunday Night Football being brought to you by Nissan, inviting you to grip the way you move.
Hey, I'll take a look at one of Philadelphia's greatest delicacies, the cheesesteak. Put it on the hoagie roll, cook up that steak, cheese, onions, maybe a little mushroom you throw on there. Just had one myself yesterday, as a matter of fact. It was delicious. The Eagles, meanwhile, are not loving things so far today in their Sunday Night Football matchup. They're trailing the Cowboys by 3 touchdowns at home.
They would take that thing and chop, 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 chop.
Yep.
And then break it up more than that? Or am
Now,
I wrong?
I think you're right. Now it's haute cuisine. I don't know.
Right.
You know, I can't figure it out.
I'm asking the wrong guy.
You are asking the wrong guy.
I thought they chopped it with that thing. You know, they'd cook it and then break it up with that thing.
We're going to get Andrew to go to work on that right away.
Yeah, but this is the only place you can get a cheesesteak. I mean, other places they get a cheesesteak, they're just kidding.
Right. It's a phony. It's an ersatz cheesesteak someplace else.
Be in Philadelphia.
Geno's, now we hear Geno's is uncut and Pat's is the one where they cut him.
Oh, they go chop, 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 chop.
Right. Inside kick attempt. And it's Dallas's ball. Marion Barber playing on special teams. Comes up with it. Well, after Troy Aikman retired, and Troy is now, of course, in the Hall of Fame, 3 Super Bowl wins. You had Anthony Wright, who came in, and then Clint Sterner was 1-1. Ryan Leaf was there. Remember that? 0-3. Quincy Carter lasted a while, 16-15. Chad Hutchinson with the 2-7 mark. Even Vinny came to town where he was 5-10. They tried Drew Henson out of Michigan at 1-0. And then Bledsoe came aboard. So as you can see, it's been quite an odyssey between Aikman and Romo. And right now you got Brad Johnson, who will finish up the game. Brad Johnson, who won a Super Bowl for the Tampa Bay Bucks following the 2002 season, has just given the ball to Jones for a loss.
And sometimes to get that guy, you have to be lucky. I mean, you know, it wasn't, well, we had a #1 draft choice. That's how they got Troy Aikman, and they had a #1 draft choice. Here they signed this guy as a free agent. They worked with him, you know, and it was interesting last night when he said that he was kind of happy to be a backup. You know, you asked him if it was frustrating. He said no. He said I was happy because I knew I wasn't ready to play, but I wanted to develop myself into a quarterback that when I got an opportunity, I was ready.
Very unusual answer, because you would have thought after 3 years on the bench, I was expecting him to talk about the frustrations, and we were talking to Tony about what was the lowest point, and I thought at some point it would be, you know, hey, I wanted to go someplace else. Here, how the Stars have done tonight. Romo, of course, with the big night. Barber's been good on the ground, and T.O. meanwhile, those 10 catches, including 1 touchdown. But there was Romo just talking about, you're right, John, the learning process, the learning curve.
Right, and he said there was a couple things that he wanted to learn, and that was get rid of the ball fast, have a fast release.
Here's Jones. You know, you think about glamour positions, we've always talked about it. Dallas Cowboys quarterback, New York Yankees center fielder. And when you go back to, I know, going back to the course of history, Montreal Canadiens goaltender, Boston Celtics center. But, you know, the Cowboy quarterback spot is right there in the, in the glare of the biggest spotlight you can find.
That is, and that's why they needed one, and that's why it was so evident. You know, when they didn't have Troy Aikman anymore, you know, who's going to be the next Troy Aikman? Well, they finally found him in Tony Romo.
Tony Romo counting tonight, and again, just a starter for, in effect, a little over a calendar year. Let's go to Andrea.
You know, guys, much of the game, Terrell Owens sat in his same spot in the bench and ignored the fans that were jeering at him. But after that 45-yard touchdown, his showmanship came alive. He saw all the cameras focused on him. He waved that touchdown towel at the fans yelling at him, and his response to them, I love it. Now, it's funny because as far as the interaction with the crowd is concerned, he told me it feeds me in terms of motivation. So he must have been pretty hungry tonight coming in with the performance he's having.
Yeah, he's had a great night.
You know, and I believe that it does feed him. I mean, just any attention feeds him. I mean, it doesn't have to be, you know, cheers and everyone for him. It can be someone against him, you know, giving him attention and saying, well, they boo me because they love me and because they really respect what I do. And I think there's a little truth to that.
Speaking of spotlights, he loves the spotlight. Breyer is ready to punt. The rush was put on. The kick will go all the way into the end zone for a touchback. Meanwhile, just to update one thing, Chad Johnson, those of you watching football today, in the game at Buffalo was hurt, and it appeared to be pretty serious as he was taken off the field, but we're happy to report that the CT scan was negative, and his neck was obviously immobilized there, and he did fly back with the Bengals to Cincinnati. Good news.
That's always great news when it ends like that, because of all the things that happen in a football game, those sights and those are the feelings that you never want to have.
See him too often too. From the 20. Westbrook. And now we're just the stats padding time.
You know, in that thing, aligning the stars, I think they ought to put the Cowboy offensive lineman in there, because, you know, someone has to take over a game, and I really felt that was a group. I mean, I know Terrell Owens did this, and Tony Romo did this, and Barber and stuff, but it was all made possible by that group of offensive linemen, the Cowboys, because they really dominated. You know, that front line right from the get-go.
They've been great tonight. Westbrook makes his 13th catch of the game, a career high. You know, that offensive line, and, you know, we talk about Flozell Adams a lot, of course, and Leonard Davis came over from Arizona, Mark Colombo, but a guy singled out by Wade Phillips last night was Andre Gerard, the center. So you're right, John, just across that line, they have done a great job. There's Davis.
Yeah, big Leonard Davis, and I think that was, you know, Jerry Jones knew in the offseason there were some things that he had to do. I mean, obviously get a new head coach, get an offensive coordinator, you know, but he needed an offensive lineman, and he went out and paid money to get Leonard Davis. And I think that was a smart move.
McNabb has to dump it over the middle, incomplete.
Jay Ratliff is there talking to Donovan McNabb. And that's what happens. When you win, you get to do that. And when you lose, you kind of have to stand there and take it. And I know that, you know, the feeling of that Cowboys sideline. I mean, that's what you play for. I mean, they talk, you know, the money and all this stuff, and it's all great. $67.5 million, but going on the road, winning a rivalry game, winning a division game, being in first place, boy, life's pretty good.
You know when it's really good, John? When you go on the road and you look around a 70,000 seat stadium and you see about 4,000 people left, you know you've had a good night.
You know you've whipped them.
Big. 38-17.
Since 1989, Coca-Cola has provided more than $35 million in college scholarships. And as the NCAA's first corporate champion, Coca-Cola proudly supports 88 NCAA championships in 23 sports for 360,000 student athletes every year. Satisfying a thirst for learning, both in the classroom and on the field. The Coca-Cola Company and the NCAA.
The hard-hitting action of American football continues with the NFL on NASN. And this week, it's an AFC North showdown. The ferocious defense of the Baltimore Ravens take on the hard-pounding offense of the Pittsburgh Steelers. You've got to believe it's smash-mouth football, NFL style. Ravens Steelers, live tonight. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown. The NFL on NASN.
Tonight, 38-17.
Yeah, we look at the horse trailer. If you look out there, you know, Tony Romo's already on it, and Terrell Owens is already on it. Yeah. So when we get in a spot like that, do we put him on again?
That's the key. You know, always the question is, Tank Basket takes it up to the 42-yard line, or do you want to spread the wealth? Do we want to redistribute income is what we want to do.
Well, you know, if we really wanted to spread the wealth and redistribute income, we put the offensive line on there. But I know we're not going to do that. I mean, they're never going to align the stars and put a lineman in there, right. And they're never going to, you know, put an old offensive lineman. But like I said, I mean, that Cowboy offensive line were stars tonight.
We can always blame our producer, Fred Godelli.
We're not going to put Leonard Davis on there.
Well, what the heck? Part of Leonard Davis.
Why would anyone do that?
Fourth and 1. And this is Westbrook stepping out of bounds at the 44-yard line.
You know, where the Cowboy defense did a good job is against Westbrook. And I think, you know, Wade Phillips told us last night they were going to play a lot of man-to-man. And I think that was to take away Westbrook and to have someone on him on all those checkdowns and screens, and it's been very, very effective.
McNabb throws incomplete. Donovan tonight has thrown 45 passes. It's funny, you look at, sometimes if you don't see a game and you look at the numbers, you go, hey, 27 out of 45, 264, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Not bad. The numbers not bad. Then you see the game, it's a whole different story.
And this guy here, you know, has done a great job, not only with this Cowboy team, but with the defense. And You know, it's a three-man line, but it's a different type of three-man line. It's been tough for these offenses to figure out.
And it's a perfect ending for their defenses. Anthony Henry, who was only going to play sparingly tonight, coming back off an injury, winds up with an interception.
And they weren't even sure last night if he were going to play at all. And then he said, well, we'll just play him in the dime defense. And then they started that dime defense, and Henry was in there, and he played well in the first half. And then here he is, lo and behold, in the fourth quarter, getting an interception under 2 minutes left in the game.
Third turnover for the Eagles tonight. Henry with his 5th interception of the season, and a couple of kneel downs will end this one. As Brad Johnson will take a knee, and the Dallas Cowboys will have a happy flight back to the Metroplex and get ready for their big Sunday encounter next week up at the Meadowlands against the New York Giants. And the Philadelphia Eagles will nurse their wounds and go down to Washington in another NFC East battle next Sunday.
There's not even enough people left here in the stands for a good boo.
No. That's a good point.
Yeah, the Eagles have never been in too many situations where they couldn't come up with a good boo.
No. Booed out.
There's a crowd right there,
so to speak. And one more kneel down will end the game. Cowboys come to town. Not that they had to validate what they've been doing this season, because they've really been good, but now to go to 7-1 and dominate against the team that had to win this game, the Eagles, and really didn't even come close.
No, and it was just too much Tony Romo. I mean, that was the thing. You know, we said that, you know, the Cowboys haven't been successful here, and the Cowboys haven't been successful against the Eagles, but this is the first year that they really had a full-time Tony Romo.
Tony Romo.
Well, the Cowboys' outstanding season continues. They retain a one-game advantage atop the NFC East and run their record at 7-1 with this now official 38-17 victory over the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles fall to 3-5. They remain in last place in the NFC East. T.O. and the Cowboys, tough to stop. 10 catches, 174 yards for T.O. and a touchdown grab. Sunday night football coming your way 1 week from tonight. The Indianapolis Colts and the San Diego Chargers, a high-powered matchup as Peyton Manning and the Colts go to Southern California and San Diego to take on LT and the Chargers. Check the time in your area of the world for the Week 10 edition of Sunday Night Football on ESPN. Well, Tony Romo led a potent Cowboys attack, 324 yards passing and 3 touchdowns, one of them to Terrell Owens. For our entire crew, I'm Mark Brown. So long for now. It's been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to espn.com. Your final score from Philadelphia, the Cowboys over the Eagles, 38-17.
ESPN thanks you for watching this.
The weather conditions are ideal here in Nashville.